welcome. Actually, I had Karin on my radio show this week also, and we had to cut it off. We were so fascinated with all of the interesting things that she was telling us. Karin is an executive coach and a trainer. We're gonna find out how she manages to keep those two separate, or does she manage to keep them two separate? However, what we first want to know is she is the founder, and I have to tell you, this woman started her first business when she was in college. Is that right?
That's
Yes.
right.
This is like her third or fourth. She just does it in her spare time. So, and the business she has now is Nations Partners. Tell us what that is.
It's a training and coaching company, of course, and I founded it in Europe, Germany, and in New York. So it's a bi-continental.
So you have branches in both places?
Both places,
Fantastic.
yeah.
And when you say training, coaching, what does that mean? What do you train people to do? Take over the world, be good leaders, what?
Well, it's mainly leadership and performance coaching, and the two kind of belong together. The way we perform as people, as individuals, with our teams. So it's leadership training, team development, motivational training, and then performance as a leader. And that performance could be anything from presentation techniques to dialogue leadership, negotiations, confidence, whatever you need as a leader to perform, also on the international level.
Okay, so now, do you do the same thing in Germany that you do in the United States, or do you prepare people in the United States to go to Germany, or for the German people to come here and work in the United States? What do you do?
Well, exactly that. I mean, it depends on the client. I have German clients, I have European clients, I have American clients, and it depends what the focus is. Like all coaching, like all training, like any coach out there, every coaching begins with a needs analysis, understanding the client, understanding what is needed. So I do training in Europe, also in Belgium, in France, in different countries, and in the States.
Tell us where the name came from, Partners Nations.
Nations Partners, okay.
Sorry about that. It's called Read Your Own Headline, Nations Partners, sorry.
Yeah, partners. First, the funny thing is I do have an accent, you may have noticed, and I cannot properly pronounce the name of my company.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of the time when I say Nations Partners is Nations what?
Partners?
Partners. Nations, my very first company, which Laurie said when I still was in college, I named it Nations, which was possible back then. I don't think today you would be able to register a name like that.
I don't think you'd find nations.com anyway available for a mighty long time, yeah.
Oh, right.
It's a popular name.
Exactly. And then I had the company, I was really young, the company grew very fast. There were great times during that time, and after about 10 years, I sold the company. I just hit a burnout level, and I sold the company, and then I left Europe. I went to America, and I followed my second passion, and my second passion is the stage. Performance stage. I also very intensely studied psychology, and to me, psychology and stage performance are one and the same thing.
Isn't that amazing? We're going to find out why she says that.
Well,
after you talk to her, it makes sense.
Because both is about getting into yourself, discovering your own talents, becoming free of all the layers and layers of material we load onto ourselves, and the material that is loaded upon us as children. How are we supposed to behave? What are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to think? And both in psychology, or behavioral psychology, and stage, it's all about becoming free, finding the freedom to begin to understand yourself and to discover yourself. And both are, especially the stage, are amazing tools to do that.
Now, how does that play into, because we always hear that the best actress or actor is one who can thoroughly get into the role. So how does the role combined with the self, or is it one and the same? Because you're always thinking that people on stage are pretending, they're not really themselves. I hear you saying that in order to get on stage, you have to become, first you have to really identify with yourself before you can play any role. Is that what?
Absolutely,
Yeah?
absolutely, and that's why stage training is it's a magical craft, really, because you learn how to find the authenticity within yourself. So a lot of the, especially the beginning stage training, is not about playing roles. It's about finding your inner focus, your strength, your flexibility, your ability to detach from old beliefs, old conventions, old behavior patterns. You become free. And this is a very large proportion of stage training.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it's a tremendous tool in leadership training, team training.
So then you're saying in you're free, first you have to become free in order to take on the role of someone else. And let's say in a play, I mean, that's this is my limited knowledge, so bear with me here. So you're saying that before anyone really should step on stage, they should really be more in touch with themselves, so that they know how they're going to project this other role that may or may not be like them.
Absolutely, it's all about also living or experience yourself in a sense of freedom, in a sense of free space. And if you can do that, you become automatically detached from, a lot of things we do is self-judgment. You know, what do this person think? How do I react in order to please this person? How do I react in order to achieve this with that person? So we are very often led by our environment. And when you find this stabilized core within yourself, you're less led by your environment, you begin to find peace, centeredness, and you are better in leading your environment. So that's what it's all about.
I'm getting it now, finally.
Yeah.
It didn't take long. What are we going to do? 7 minutes, I got it. No. I think I'm getting it. You're saying, okay, when you say free, it's like when you free yourself from all the conventions and all the should-bes and all the, I have to do this, and just really get in touch with yourself.
Right.
Then you are free to do whatever you want to do on that
Right.
stage or lead or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Okay, fantastic. So how does this, well, I want to talk a little bit about cultural differences, because I know there are some, and we like to think that we lead the world and everything, but I know there are other countries who've been around a lot longer than us. And so cultural differences, how do they play a role in the training and coaching that you do? Are you sensitive to, because I know I do a lot of international things on Skype, and I have to be sensitive to, I know I'm a New Yorker and I talk fast. And it's like, and I have to slow down because nobody's ready for that. Talking fast in some cultures means that you're saying nothing because they stop listening. So what would, and you're dealing with Europe and America, so it's not that far between, but tell me a little bit about cultural differences and how you address that when you do your training.
Well, that's a really big question.
I know.
Which I can't answer with a little answer. So
cut it in half, yeah.
Okay. Obviously, cultural differences are a key issue in many things. It depends what I do with my clients. Some clients will have cultural situations or jobs, whether it includes leading an international team, for instance, is a big one. When you have a team that consists of different cultures, leading virtual international teams, even a bigger one. How do people communicate? Simple things like, how do you delegate? How do you achieve agreements with people? And if you delegate, especially between Germany and America, we think we're very similar. We're actually not. But my first step is to prevent the idea or getting into a mindset of standardized thinking, of judgment. They are like this, we are like this. We're not, we're just people, but there are certain ways of how we communicate. And as I said, delegation is a classic. It's a classic. How do we delegate it? How do we convey our expectation of time? how time should be kept. When are you going to deliver your report? How do I ask you to do that in a way that doesn't offend? And nobody intends to offend.
Right.
But also language differences can be subtle things, like the way in Germany we say you should do something. It's absolutely not impolite because it doesn't imply an order.
Right.
The way it comes across in American. So
here it's like, you can't tell me what to do.
Exactly. And but it's not. It's not intended like that. It's not used in the German language like that. But it comes across when we make those slight differences. So intercultural behavior is a big thing. And I mean, I have seminars just on intercultural.
Just to do that.
Yeah.
Just to discuss it. I know I
Yeah.
had someone on here who does a lot of work on in I think it's Japan, and she
Right.
said one of her challenges is because she's teaching Japanese leaders how to coach their employees is that Japanese you're taught to not speak up in a crowd. You don't
Right.
and it's like it's first you have to break that down, but if you
Right.
don't realize that, then you're talking to people who just aren't speaking to you and you're going, I'm not getting across here. But
Yeah.
she said it's something that she has to be aware of, and then she had to break it down and address that and then get on with the training.
Yeah, it's
So-
also the other thing of eye contact. I mean, if you in Japan with your business partner, especially if it's a superior, keep long and intense eye contact, this is a very, very big mistake.
It's rude, yeah.
It's extremely rude. It's very disrespectful.
Oh,
And contrary here, if you don't keep eye contact,
Then
if you
look
lower your
shifty,
eyes,
right? People then wonder what it is.
shifty, or
You
it's
can't be
like
trusted.
yeah, or you don't have any self-confidence.
Right.
So
You're looking at the ground. You
yeah.
never look. Yeah, definitely.
and but the
That's
fascinating
interesting.
thing is in intercultural, when we understand that nothing is right or wrong, there's ultimately
Yes.
nothing right or wrong. It's just different. And when we lose the judgment of right and wrong, and we begin to enjoy the difference, that's when we become culturally fit. And we need to know the little know-hows, like the eye contact or how you hand over a business card in
And
Japan, and various other things. They're just
I know, like even in England, where we always say that's a very similar culture.
Right.
When people are going over to meet the Queen, there are hours of training. How do you dress her?
Yeah.
How far do you bend down? It's like, what do you wear? The whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that being American, I think we take for granted. It's something that we say, oh, we're right, and everybody will just adapt to us. I'm always amazed when people travel overseas and they don't see signs in English. It's like, you're not in America.
I tell you a secret.
Yeah, okay.
Every country thinks that
Oh,
they are
really?
right.
They
Yeah. No, it's not
Oh, so
just
it's
the
not just
Americans.
us. Okay,
No,
all right,
no,
that's
no.
good to know.
Maybe Americans are more
Vocal about
vocal
it.
about it,
Yeah,
exactly.
complain a little, yeah, what's
But
up here?
every country, and we as individuals do that too. We do that too. We live such a long time with our beliefs that those beliefs become the truth, become our truth. You know?
Yes.
And just because it's our truth, it doesn't mean that it's the truth.
Right, and I think
And,
that's probably
yeah.
one of the major tenets of coaching. It's like, your solution is not the other person's solution, and no judgments, just allow them to set the agenda, the whole thing. Tell me what you think, speaking of agenda, tell me what you think, because people have trouble making this distinction between coaching and training. What distinction do you make between that? Because they're very similar, however, they're not the same thing. So what to you, what is the difference between the two?
You actually just started the thought in terms of saying in coaching, we don't impose our agenda on our clients.
Right.
It becomes we accompany our clients in their journey. And
I like that.
yeah,
We
yeah.
go on their journey. Yeah,
it's
I
one
like
of my
that.
favorite words.
I love journey. Yeah.
I love any kind of journey. This is a journey with you.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
totally.
yeah.
And I really appreciate that.
No, I'm thrilled that you're here. We had such fun on the radio show. So.
Yeah. So yes, going on this journey together. It's a process of discovery. It's a process of deep respect. Absolutely. And in training, it's a process of imparting know-how, imparting tricks of the trade, imparting behavior patterns and way of doing things. So in training, you bring more your knowledge,
You bring your agenda.
and
share it. Yeah.
exactly into the. But you bring your agenda, but you then allow and guide people to, through their own journey, adapt and accept your agenda and accept it. I mean, you don't just say this is the way it is and this is the way you.
If you're a good trainer, yes. There are some trainers who absolutely.
Then I have to say the combination of coach and trainer is a very good combination,
Yes.
because you have to be, as a good trainer, you have to most definitely have a strong element and understanding of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just a trainer, you become a lecturer. And
Right. You're a public speaker, and you can just impart wisdom and take
Absolutely.
notes and go home.
yeah, even
Yeah.
though they are, as we all know, tremendously brilliant public speakers,
Mhm.
but
Right.
but if you have a group of 10, 6, 8 executives, it's not about, these are very smart people, they're very intelligent people, they're people with tremendous experience, often much more experience than their trainer.
Mhm.
So when you bring a new subject, a new idea, a new concept into their lives, you better do it in a way that they want to adapt it, as opposed to say, okay, fine, I listen to it, and but I still go my own way.
Right.
You want to create change,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't achieve change in your process, then you have failed as a trainer. So
I
that,
agree.
yeah.
I agree.
and also as a coach.
Or I'm not even, but maybe not change, but at least thought. You want to at least provoke thought. You want to maybe have some insights, and then they can decide
Right.
whether they want to change. But at least give them that option, that expansion
Absolutely.
of their knowledge.
And
yeah.
of course, as you say, the decision is always with your client,
Mhm.
but you can impart it in a way that they want to make that decision
Right.
from a true place,
Right.
not from a place of brainwashing, of course, but from a true place. And it's a wonderful thing if people come and they have a job or a task or whatever, and you can bring them to a level that helps them to change in a better level, to a better
You
level.
mentioned earlier about you addressed your second passion when you got to when you got to
Yeah.
California, which was acting.
Yeah.
Tell me how you have combined your business with your passion of acting. How does that play a part in your business now?
It plays a huge part. And it actually was a discovery, and the discovery came out of a little bit of a split personality moment. Because I've always been a left brainer and a right brainer. Left brain insofar that I love the power of business. I do. I mean, it sounds funny, but I do. I love the power and the things you can shift through great business. But I also have a tremendous love and passion for the theater, for the performing arts, any kind of art. And so when I sold my first company and I had my burnout level, I just left it all behind, including my first husband, and I just off to Los Angeles.
Really clean start, yes.
Clean start, exactly. A suitcase, toothbrush, pair of jeans, that was it. And so then I pursued, of course, acting. I was also in the film business. I started documentary production and writing, and made a documentary. And then I had this split moment where I thought, I love the career of training. I mean, to me, training is part of me. It's part of my expression. It's something I love to do. But I also like to be on stage. I also like and appreciate and total admiration of what acting can do. And then the moment came when I realized, the two things belong together.
Mm.
They totally belong together, because what you can give your clients, your executives, when you bring them on stage and facilitate acting training as part of leadership training, it's got to be in the context of leadership training, is a wonderful thing, because acting training really goes into the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It goes through the emotions, through behavior, through body language, how you express through your body, how you freeze certain thinking processes with body, with emotions. And leadership is rational. It goes through left side. And the combination is just powerful.
So you are bringing together right brain and left brain thinking.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
and you know I'm a fan of that because I love points of view cards, and they do the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, explain to me, and I want to know what you do with your clients also. But recently, Tim Robbins has been the actor Tim Robbins has been all over television talking about his program that he's brought to the prison,
Right.
where he trains inmates how to act. And what is amazing is one that they're so open and flexible and receptive to the idea. And I have to say, I've done some training with the points of view cards and with previously incarcerated men, and I'm always amazed at how open they are to the process. But what's really amazing is that the recidivism rate has just plummeted. These guys aren't coming back to prison. What's going on? Why is acting making that such a positive influence when nothing else seems to have been able to do that?
I can only offer you my opinion and my experience. Acting leads you to yourself. There's a sort of a self-finding process in acting, and there's also something I think which works in the prison context. This appreciation, this recognition of you. Not the recognition of your deeds, good or bad.
Street cred, when you have to how you have to
right,
act on the street,
exactly.
It's real you. Is that
right.
what you're saying? Yeah.
And that's a funny thought. And what applies to prisoner also applies to, in a different way, to executives, because very often they're judged their success.
You're right.
Their success, their exterior, their performance in life, their houses, their achievements. And very often the person gets lost in that mix.
You know, when I was climbing the career ladder, and it was way, way back, and my biggest frustration, I think, was that I could never show true emotion. You're absolutely right, because it was like you were a leader, you were an executive, and as soon as you can't show it to your boss, and you can't show it to your employees, and that was the most frustrating part. It was like I had to be this person that had no emotions. So wow, that's a great comparison that you just made between executives and inmates. Hey. I'm sure we've made that comparison before, but maybe not the same way. But
and it's only meant in the most complimentary way to both of them.
Absolutely. No disrespect for either group.
No.
So tell me, like, what would be an exercise that you would use, or a training that you would use to get people that aren't used to having their emotions on display or aren't used to trusting other people? What's something you would do to get them to get in the mood, so to speak, or to
get in the mood?
Get in the mood of, being more, I don't want to say touchy-feely, but being more true to themselves in their leadership styles.
Okay. Well, a simple exercise, and just what I want to say forward beforehand. This is when sometimes my words get mixed up. That's when you notice I'm not an American. It's always in the context of the training. I never do acting exercises just out of the blue for the sake of it.
You don't want to get up on the stage.
Just pretend you're Shakespeare or no. So this one, which I like to give as an example, would be a part of building trust within teams and building working together and building a synergy in a close team situation, for instance. So this would be embedded in a whole training situation, a part of it.
Picture,
okay.
Right.
So the exercise, which I would like to use as an example, because it's actually simple, but it's so powerful. The reaction of the people is so moving, actually, to me. So you get two people, the rest of the group stays audience, and then everybody has, of course, their turn. on stage. One person stands in front and the other person stands very close behind, and with body contact, either full body or hand around the waist or hand on the shoulder,
We're
hand on the arm.
executives.
We're
Oy.
talking executives, right.
I would think you'd need cattle prods or something to get them in. Okay, everybody in, but no.
And the one in the back gets a sheet of paper with, any poetry written on it. Good poetry. It can be anything from Robert Frost to Shakespeare to anything. And he or she will very softly feed the lines, one line at a time, to the person standing in front. And the person in front will project these lines to the audience. Now what happens in the process is an incredible trust synergy begins to build up between the two of them. And it maybe takes 5-6 lines before they start to build a rhythm. But when they build the rhythm, the person behind takes on this role of protector.
Okay.
He's in the background, he or she is in the background, and she takes the role of support. This idea of, I support you, I make sure that you in the front really project, really perform. And the person in the front, because he or she has ultimately no responsibility to either invent the lines or learn them by heart, can fully concentrate on free projection. And very often people have very little chance to do that in real life, and it's incredible how moving this experience is. And the bond between these two performers will last the entire seminar and beyond.
Wow.
And it's really, and what's so magical about it, because it is embedded in a real situation, people will remember this exercise the next time they are in their team, when they feel somebody's maybe not quite as confident or needs support or needs maybe a little bit encouragement or help to project better, express
remember
themselves
that
better.
at one point they trusted.
Exactly.
Or
yeah.
that it gives new meaning to the word "I've got your back," because the gentleman,
Absolutely,
the person in the back
yeah,
has
totally.
really got their back.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I know you're not going to believe this, but we have like 30 seconds left. So I want to tell. Whoa, I don't know what that was, but so everybody wake up. There wasn't a wake.
Exit line.
Yeah. I want to tell people how to get in touch with you, and that's at the bottom of the screen, nationspartners.com, and you can find out all the seminars and great things that she's offering. And I want to thank you. I've imposed on you twice this week, and you've been fantastic both
It's been
times.
a pleasure,
I
Laurie.
love you telling us all your little secrets, and thank you so much for being on Coach World TV, Karin.
Thank you, Laurie. It's been